Hey, you guys, your girl, Everything Jackins. Everybody knows I love horror. And if you love horror too, please like, share, and comment. It is African American History Month, and I like to continue my series, Blacks in Horror. And today we will be talking James Baldwin. And who is James Baldwin, you say? James Baldwin was not only an acclaimed writer, but also a civil rights activist. And also, he was a big supporter of LGBTQ rights. But what does Mr. Baldwin have to do with horror, you say? Well, that's a good question. In 1976, Mr. Baldwin, he wrote this book. It is a book length feature of his essays. Yes, not only was Mr. Baldwin a excellent writer, but he was a great essayist. And in this work, he talks about the complicated relationship that African Americans have with cinema. Okay, and in the last excerpt of this book, he talks about The Exorcist that had just recently came out and what he thought about The Exorcist. And what did he think about The Exorcist? He hated it. He absolutely hated it. He felt like it was absolutely terrible, that it wasn't the real true meaning of horror. He felt that it was a whitewashed thought of what was horrifying. He felt like, as an African American man in the 1970s, 1960s, that he knew what real horror was, and that was not the face of horror. He said, when people have looked at you like you were the devil, you know what the devil looks like. And it ain't a little white girl turning her head around. But I also like how he analyzes the portrayal of Black characters on screen, okay? He dissects the tropes and archetypes that reduce Black individuals to like one dimension characters, okay? Things that we talk about now in horror that go on. So tropes like the trope of the Black guy dying first, okay? I read somewhere in an article that Samuel L. Jackson has died over like 200 times in different movies. There is no other trope that I cannot stand with the Black guy dying first trope. And another example of this that I absolutely hate was when these two died in the beginning of Scream 2. I could not stand it. I hate the Black guy dying first trope. And there also is the trope of the magical Negro. I absolutely hated that Scatman Crothers had to be killed, because in the Stephen King book, he wasn't even killed. And the fact that the magical Negro is always there to actually use their magical powers, but for nothing but to save the white savior or the other characters in the horror movie, it absolutely infuriates me. And it's one example of this that I cannot stand. The Jezebel character in Jeepers Creepers. I absolutely hate that she was absolutely there for nothing but to help the brother and sister throughout the movie. Like, she was nothing, but she was just basically there for like exposition to explain exactly what this monster is. And they could have explained what Jeepers Creepers was in any other way but the magical Negro trope. I absolutely hate this trope. And one trope and stereotype that I hate, that is in almost like every horror movie like back in the days, the token Black guy or the token Black character. So they can claim to have like a diverse cast. They have the one Black character in the whole movie, and most of the time none of these characters have like a backstory or anything. And a great example of this is Rochelle's character in The Craft. Poor Rachel True. She's such a phenomenal actress, and I love that she kind of spoke up for herself in the Black Noir documentary, the one that I recommended, and go watch it. It's on Shudder. I love that she kind of spoke up for herself, but I did hate that her character, and she says this in the documentary, did not have any backstory compared to her counterparts, who had backstories and actually had like in-depth, you felt for them, okay? poor Rachel True's character in The Craft, she just was there because it was like it was supposed to be like a racist thing, so she was supposed to be able to get back at the racist character, but she had no other life story or anything beyond that. Like, she was just her and her friends, and I absolutely hated it. And another thing, and is another example of the token character that I absolutely hate, and you guys know I hate this if you know anything about Everything's Jackie, is how they tokenize my baby Usher in The Faculty. The fact that at this time, some of these actors weren't all that well known, and then Usher was like on the way up, like he was a rising star, so he was like the selling point for The Faculty. And the fact that he only had like an accumulative 15 minutes of screen time in the whole entire movie, and as you can see, he's right here in the poster. So he was just the what? The token black guy. Look at this cast. It infuriates me. I hate it. And the fact that they use my husband, Usher. You guys tell me how you feel about this one. So what happens with these stereotypes and tropes when they are presented to non-African American people? It perpetuates the stereotypes, okay? It makes people have a bias, or it makes them think a certain way about how African Americans should act, okay? And how do we combat this? And so what Baldwin said, the way to combat this and to stop people from having these biases is to actually have more nuanced and authentic representations of African Americans in films, and especially horror, okay? And I think Jordan Peele did that with Us, and that's why it's so acclaimed. And I think movies like The Blackening and Us, they are offering more realistic interpretations of how African Americans think, feel, and see, okay? How we're looked at in society. So by having these more nuanced and authentic representations, we can challenge the bias and assumptions that people have outside the wider audience, okay? I believe that Baldwin was spot on with this, and I think this analysis that he has, it goes perfect with horror movies and some of the horror tropes and things that we see in horror movies, especially back in the day. Now it is changing, and we are coming forward in the Hollywood industry, but some of these biases are still there, because I still see them in some of the recent movies, especially like Annabelle, poor Alfred Woodard, and how she, sacrificed herself for this child she barely even knows. So I still see small instances of it, but it is getting better. So especially with stuff like what Jordan Peele is coming out with. And I'm really excited, and I heard he's going to do a People Under the Stairs, and I hope he gives it justice, which I know he will. He's a professional. You guys tell me what you think about this in the comments, this analysis by James Baldwin. You guys tell me how you think about these tropes and stereotypes down in the comments. And what do I always ask you guys to do? Stay spooky, and I'll see you back here for some more Blacks in Horror. Good night, you guys.